Everybody. I just want to make a video talking about a topic. Today's video is entitled Your Blessing is Not Around the Corner. In modern day, you hear a lot of Christians talking about, don't worry about it. You're going through a tough time, but your blessing is around the corner. Well, I'm making this video to let you know that that is not biblically sound. That's not true. And we're going to go through some scripture to kind of talk about that and dissect that. Now, one of the Christians' favorite verses is Psalms 23. And I think, in my opinion, in my theory, they get this theory of the blessing is around the corner from this verse. So we're going to read this verse together, really just 1 through 4. Psalms 23, starting at verse 1, we're going to end at verse 4. So it says, Yahweh or Yahuwah is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Right, you're going to go to verse 5. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. So we're just going to focus on verse 4 and 5 for right now. When we read, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. And then we go to verse 5, right? And we say, thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies, right? You see, when we read the Bible, we forget that some of these verses are so short and we don't compare it to actual real life experiences. We have to understand that in the valley of the shadow of death, it lasts longer than how this verse is written. Okay? And then when we read verse 5, we think that, the valley is a short time, and therefore Yah prepares a table for me in the presence of my enemies right after the valley of the shadow of death. And although that's true, the valley lasts a long time because the darkness, we're formed in the dark. We're being proved in the darkness. We're being tested in that valley. And so just because you went through one tough experience doesn't mean you're going to get blessed right after. And I want to be clear. When I say the blessing is not around the corner, I'm referring to these pastors with these mega churches who steal your money because you want this blessing of maybe a six-figure income or a Bugatti or some kind of worldly blessing that gives you some worldly status. They always make these promises by the end of this certain month or this certain date on this certain time, you're going to get a certain amount of money or you're going to get a certain type of spouse. Those types of promises nobody can deliver, but they say that one to keep you there at their church because more members equals more money. And so they're going to tell you that the blessing is around the corner to keep you asleep and to keep you happy. And then when these tough times keep going, you're going to get discouraged and more likely you're going to leave the faith. So this is what this video is about. I'm not saying that you're not blessed because you are blessed when you wake up in the morning. You are blessed when you breathe in oxygen, right? You are blessed when you have food on the table. There's so many blessings that you can count, right? Not to disregard the tough times, but it's good that we look at the blessings and are grateful for what we have in the midst of the tough times. But if you're always focused on something better than now, you're always going to be ungrateful. And that's what this modern microwave belief system of Christianity gives you, or the Creflo Dollar mindset, as I like to call it. So we're going to go through some examples of scripture that shows us that Yah promises blessings, but he doesn't give them around the corner or up the street or whatever car phrase you want to use about your blessing. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 12, and we're going to start at verse 1 real quick. Let's go there. All right. Genesis chapter 12. All right. So it says here that Yahweh had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make of thee Make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I'll bless them that bless you, and curse him that curseth you. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. So right now, Yah is telling Abram that you're going to be a blessed nation. Your seed is going to be a blessed nation if you leave out of your homeland. All right, and at this time, Abraham is 75 years old. Now we're going to go to Genesis chapter 13, okay? And we're going to start at verse 14. All right, so it says here that, and Yahweh said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. So now Yah is promising Avram, hey, your seed is going to be as numerous as the sand. Okay, so first Abraham leaves his homeland, and then Yah promises Abraham, um, excuse me, the his seed is going to be as numerous as the sands of the sea. I'm oversimplifying these stories, so please read it for yourself. I'm doing this for the sake of time. All right, now we're going to go to Genesis 15. Okay, Genesis chapter 15, and we're going to start at verse 1. It says, after these things, the word of Yahweh came unto Avram in a vision, saying, fear not, Avram, I am thy shield, and thy exceeding great reward. And Avram said, Yahweh Elohim, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless? And the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus. And Avram said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of Yahweh came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. Okay, so we see that Elohim has promised Avram 3 times that he's going to have a son. Now, the first time he promised this to Avram, he was about 75. Now, remember, your blessing's around the corner, right? But how come Abraham, at this point in chapter 15, now years have gone. You read the whole story of Abraham, right? Years have gone by before chapter 15, and he still hasn't had a child, okay? Yet, okay? Let's fast forward even further, okay? Now remember, your blessing's around the corner now, okay? I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 21. Okay, we're going to start at verse 1. Okay, and it says, and Yahweh visited Sarah, as he had said, and Yahweh did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which Elohim had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. Your blessings around the corner, eh? The first time Elohim told Abraham to move out and that his seed was going to be a great nation was when he was 75 years old. Okay? It wasn't until 100 that he received the son of promise. Okay? Now you're going to have to read the whole story of Abraham to understand that yes, there's Ishmael involved, but you understand the Bible. Isaac was the son of promise that was going to be the nation that will be as numerous as the sand of the sea, right? So you see how long he had to wait? This blessing was not around the corner. Now, another example, which is also in Genesis, we're going to go to the story of Joseph or Joseph. Right? So let's go to Genesis chapter 37. Okay. Dang. Sorry, I had some sticky notes here. I'm going to start at verse 5. So Genesis chapter 37, verse 5, it says, And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaf stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more, for his dreams and for his words. So now we all know the story after this. Then he had another dream, and then about his mother and his father and his 12 brothers bowing down to him, right? They got mad, threw him in a pit, sold him into slavery. I'm paraphrasing. He becomes a slave to Potiphar. Potiphar's wife accuses him of something he didn't do. Then he ends up in jail for a long time, interprets his fellow prison mates' dreams. One of them gets beheaded, another one returns back to his position to Pharaoh, forgets about Joseph for a few years, and then Pharaoh has a dream, and because of that, Joseph is now second in command of Egypt. Now we're going to go to Genesis 41 and talk about that. So, because remember, now at this point when he had the first two dreams of his brothers bowing down to him, the Bible says he was 17 years old. Let's check this out. All right, Genesis chapter 41 and verse 41. All right, and it says, And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, Bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt, and Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Okay, so 17 years old, he had this dream about his brothers bowing down to him. He's not in the position of anybody bowing down to him until he is 30 years old. Now watch when his brothers did bow down to him before the chapter I'm about to read to you here, but for the sake of brevity, I'm going to skip to this one. Read this story for yourself, okay? But again, for brevity's sake, I'm going to give this chapter for you. All right, so we're going to go to Genesis chapter 50, verses 14. All right, and it says, And Joseph returned into Egypt, he and his brethren, and all that went up with him to bury his father. So this is after his father's death, mind you, okay? After he had buried his father, and when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly requite us all the evil which he did unto him. Requite means like revenge or vengeance or payback, okay? And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, Thy father did command before he died, saying, So shall ye say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee now, the trespass of thy brethren, and their sin, for they did unto thee evil. And now, we pray thee, forgive the trespass of the servants of the Elohim of thy father. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face, and they said, Behold, we be thy servants. So, I'm reading this to you because we see, one, Joseph was 17 years old when he had the dream of his brothers bowing down to him. It wasn't after his father's death that I'm reading to you right now that they do this. All right? The whole point I'm trying to get at is this. It's not that the Most High doesn't fulfill his promises. It's not that your blessings will not ever come to you. But this saying that your blessing is around the corner is very damaging, because we have examples from the Bible that that is not true. Because if your blessing is around the corner, then that means you're not being tested enough. You're not being proven enough. Both of the men I just described to you in this word had to go through some trying times. And some of them, especially Abraham, failed in a certain way, not not enormously, but in terms of patience and waiting and faith, he failed in a certain way if you read the whole story, because he was discouraged. And the thing is, Yah has to test our hearts before we can receive a certain blessing. And if you're if you're just of this mindset that your blessing is around the corner, are you of the mindset of preparedness for this blessing that you want so much, that you think you were promised by God so much? Okay? This Creflo Dollar, Joel Osteen, TD Jakes mindset that a lot of our people are in has caused us to be so lax in our faith that when we don't get what we want, the so-called blessing, we get mad at God, and the whole time we weren't even prepared for it. Okay? This darkness that you're in, this dark valley, the shadow of death, is a necessary path. Okay? It is a right path, as Psalms 23 says. Your right paths are not always going to be smooth and happy and rainbows and Reese's Pieces all the time. No, they're going to be rough. And it's not going to be just smooth all the time. As I said before, I'm being redundant. But the point is that your blessings are not just genie-like. All right, this is not Aladdin. I'm gonna give you one more verse, and then we're going to conclude. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 36. All right, it says, "And others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover of bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented, of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and caves of the earth. And these all, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise." All right, so again, I'm jabbing at this saying of blessing around the corner. Some of these people who obeyed the commandments did not receive the promise. Right? If you read the whole chapter, Hebrews 11 is known as the faith chapter, right? It's about all these saints have done all these good works through faith and were rewarded these good things. And then at the end of the chapter, you see that some of these people who did these good works through faith didn't receive a particular promise, as it says in this verse. All right? But here's the thing. In verse 40, it says, "And Elohim, having provided some better thing for us, that they without us should not be made perfect." So Elohim has a better thing for us. If we keep going on this walk, keep being determined in this set apart lifestyle, we're going to have something better. Okay? So I'm saying this to say, do not be focused too much on the results. Okay? Focus on the progression. Focus on the progress. Okay? Find enjoyment in it. Don't be focused on, man, the results haven't come yet. The blessings haven't come yet. The fact is, the blessings have already come. All right? You just haven't seen it. The thing is, the fact that you're still moving, the fact that you're still progressing is a blessing. Just because you haven't gotten whatever your dream is, it could be a 6-figure income, it could be a $1 million deal, or whatever, a Creflo Dollar, or whatever these mega pastors keep promising their members to keep the money flowing in. I'm sorry, I can't help but joke about that. But the point is, whatever blessing that you want, or whatever you want in life, if you don't have it now, don't be discouraged by it. If you keep working at it, you're going to get it. Or you might get something better.